Next topic. Daily Bass 013, why bass programming is the easiest skill to learn. What's up y'all? JJ da Boss here, burnin' rubber and teachin' logic faster than a duck runnin' from the Queen of Hearts. Now listen up folks, say bass, building automation system, programming is hard? Nah, sugar. That's just folks who ain't been ridin' with the right crew or the right Impala. Today, me and the Niagara 4 Chicas are cruising through Wonderland's logic loop in the compressed air supercharger Impala, bags low, logic tight, serving up truth on why bass programming is easy like Sunday morning if you start right. Front seat, Leah G, din rail diva, she clickin' into place tighter than an input module in a lightning storm. She's the backbone, keeps the ride steady and grounded. JJ, folks scared of programming cause they don't know the basics. You gotta start with inputs, outputs, sensors, and how a control loop really works. Just like bolting down DIN rail components before you even think about powering up. Analogy, trying to program without learning bass fundamentals is like hitting full boost with no tires, you gon' spin out, baby. Back left, Miriama K, Wiring Duct Queen, she sittin' behind the driver, arms crossed, wires labeled, no mess in her trunk. She all about sequencing. Listen here, this ain't no mystery novel. Bass programming is just sequencing equipment behavior. Know what opens, what closes, when fans kick on, and what triggers that economizer damper, like you know when to raise your suspension. Analogy, if you understand when to air up the front bags, when to dump the rear, and how that affects your ride height, then you already understand sequencing. Trunk, Sky B, 24V power supply princess, chillin' on top of the subwoofer in the trunk, throwin' voltage like Basslines in a battle. Ain't no magic here. Once you know how air flows through a duct and how pressure sensors talk, programming is just design patterns. Like wiring up 24V DC to power relays, you do it once, then repeat with style. Analogy, you ever seen a compressed air supercharger purge valve? That's a perfect example of understanding how control triggers movement. Once you get that, logic blocks in bass make sense like bass hits on beat. Back middle and back right, the Tweedle twins, terminal block Lady Z and fuse queen Sandra Z, they sit in side by side like synced logic blocks, one protects, one connects. Lady Z, sequencing is about making sense of time. Open this, then that. Start this, then wait. BAS is just a cooking recipe for machines. Sandra Z, and if you know how to wire a 2-wire temp sensor and not blow a fuse, then you can learn to read a bass logic line. Analogy, terminal blocks equals logic connectors. Fuses equals programming fail-safes. Blow a fuse in real life? You'll learn to write error-checking logic real quick. JJ da Boss droppin' truth, here's the real deal, y'all, bass programming is not hard. What's hard is learnin' it backwards. If you jump into coding first without knowing what a damper does, what differential pressure means, or how an economizer cycle flows, then you just stackin' airbag tanks with no fittings, you ain't goin' nowhere. Step-by-step bass programming wisdom, understand the gear, like learnin' your compressor, solenoid valve and dump tank before you learn the sensors, controllers, and actuators. Master the sequence, every building got a routine startup, shutdown, economizer, heating/cooling modes like a lowrider air sequence, front up, rear dump, drive low and clean. Apply logic blocks, each block equals a trigger. Each trigger equals a rule. Rules stack like pancake breakfast in Wonderland, just don't let the Mad Hatter do the cookin'. Use design patterns, bass programs ain't random, they're repeatable, structured, and pattern-driven. Just like every airbag install got a check valve, relay, and a manual dump. JJ's Bass Programming Pro Tips, learn by reading existing programs like their race strategies. Build small, start with a fan sequence before talking on the Queen of Hearts Ahu logic loop. Use simulators or sandboxes like you'd use a dyno to test air pressures. Train with a team. Tweedles don't wire alone, and you shouldn't code alone either. Final word from JJ, if you can ride low, lift quick, and not pop a fuse, you got what it takes to code BAS. Don't let them fancy acronyms scare you. Programming is just racing in slow motion with logic instead of guess. So buckle up, sugar. Next time someone says bass programming too hard, tell them, not if you got the right crew, a compressed air system dialed in, and the Niagara 4 Chicas ride in with yacht. Logic low. Bags dumped. Wiring clean. That's how we teach bass, baby. Catch us on the next ride, sequencing with the Queen, how to run logic without losing your head. JJ Da Boss and the Niagara 4 Chicas, out. Alice's Bass Adventure in Wonderland, Why Bass Programming Ain't So Scary. Once upon a tea-spilled Tuesday, little Alice was chasing that white rabbit through a field of curly bass cables and blinking LEDs. She wasn't in Kansas anymore. Wait, wrong story, but she was in Building Automation Wonderland, where wires talk, logic loops dance, and sequencers shout, "Open sesame," like they're late for tea. Chapter 1, Down the Logic Hole. I'm late. I'm late. For the start update, cried the white rabbit, zipping past Alice while dragging a BACnet thermostat on a leash. Alice blinked. But where's the commissioning checklist? The OPR? The dip switches. Before she could ask, she fell right down the logic hole, landing not with a thud, but a gentle pffffsshhhh, like an airbagged Impala hittin' its ride height, because this Wonderland was powered by a compressed air supercharger Impala, fully tuned with Niagara 4 logic and the bounciest suspension this side of the Queen's HVAC kingdom. Meet the Logic Chicas, aka Niagara 4 legends, inside the Impala, sitting pretty like logic blocks in a well-sequenced Ahu program, were the Niagara 4 Chicas, driver's seat, Alice herself, now Logic Princess, her dress covered in sensor maps and flow charts. Her job? To learn programming and not get beheaded by the Queen of Hearts, or worse, a blown relay. Why is bass programming so scary? She asked. Because you're reading the logic backward, silly girl, chuckled the Cheshire Cat, fading in and out from the dashboard. Start with what the system does, not what buttons to press. Front passenger, Leah G, Din Rail Diva, she snapped relays into place like cookies at a Mad Hatter's tea party. Honey, programming's easy if you understand your inputs and outputs. Like, what goes where, who flips what switch, and how to not trip over your own wires. Bass tip, inputs equals curiosity. Outputs equals results. You don't get cookies until you press the right button on the tea kettle, dear. Back left, Miriama K, sequencing sorceress, she juggled dampers and VFDs while drinking tea from a cup shaped like a flow sensor. Programming is just storytelling, Alice. First, the fan wakes up. Then the damper yawns. Then the cooling starts. If the room's too hot, the chiller gets called in if the white rabbit hasn't fallen asleep again. Bass tip, don't wake up all your equipment at once, sequence it like bedtime stories. Trunk, Sky B, voltage witch, she rode with her head out the trunk window, throwing volts like confetti. 24V to the people. Get your logic blocks powered. BAS is just a chain reaction. No voltage equals no action. No action equals Queen gets angry. Angry Queen equals off with your logic. Bass tip, every relay needs love and a fuse. Don't fry your duck. Backseat, the Tweedle twins, Lady Z and Sandra Z, they were tangled in wire but still full of sass. Lady Z, time blocks and schedules, baby. Program like it's a croquet match with flamingos and hedgehogs. Sandra Z, and don't forget error handling, or the Jabberwock will crash your controller with null inputs. Bass tip, your logic is only as strong as your weakest fuse. Don't wire blind label like a duchess. Chapter 2, The Tea Party of Triggers. The Mad Hatter hosted a Bass Logic party with sequence cakes and if-then tea. Why is a relay like a teapot? He shouted. Because you only see the steam when something inside heats up. Everyone laughed, then the VFD overheated. Alice looked around and said, all of this is just logic. Sequences. Rules. The caterpillar, sitting on a mushroom-shaped PID loop, blew a puff of smoke and answered, to fear programming, if you know how your system breathes. Chapter 3, Queen of Heart Failure. The Queen stomped in, yelling, who wrote this HVAC code without a reset loop? Off with their head. But Alice stood up, logic scroll in hand. Wait, Your Majesty. I have PID control, safety limits, and seasonal schedules based on weather forecast APIs. This loop, loops with love. And the Queen blinked. Oh. That's, quite well sequenced. Even the king clapped. Final page, JJ the boss, appears in a puff of refrigerant mist, JJ rolled up in a chrome-plated Impala, bags dumped, logic blazing. Baby girl, you done figured it out. Programming ain't scary when you know your system, understand your sequence, and ride with a good crew. Programming equals Wonderland logic. Wonderland equals organized chaos. You just gotta follow the white wire. Moral of the Wonderland story, Bass programming ain't about typing fast. It's about thinking slow, like a tea party, but with volts. So next time someone tells you programming is hard, you tell them, not in Wonderland. Not with my Impala. Not with my logic crew. Catch y'all next time in The Queen's Croquet Logic, Sequence Control with Flamingos and Fault Detection. Next topic. Bass Programming Webinar. JJ the Boss presents, Bass Programming, the Supercharged Lowrider Edition, cue hydraulics bouncing to the beat as the Niagara 4 Chicas lean out the windows of a candy paint 64 Impala with a compressed air supercharger humming under the hood. Intro, keepin' it smooth like airbagged suspension. JJ the Boss, aight, fam. Y'all ready to ride with the Niagara 4 Chicas in this tritium lowrider? We got Leah G riding shotgun, Miriama K tweaking the supercharger, Sky B handling the interior, and the Tweedle twins, Lady Z and Sandra Z, holding down the trunk. Today, we breaking down Bass programming. Every line of code, every logic block, every tag matters, just like in a show quality Impala. Engine revs as the PLC logo lights up like neon underglow. Chapter 1, What is Bass programming? Leah G, Shotgun, Solution Navigator. Yo, Bass programming is like tuning your ride's ECU but for buildings. It's all about making HVAC, lighting, and security systems work smarter, faster, and safer. Whether it's a skyscraper or a smart home, we automate that juice. Miriama K, back left, CCT config tool. Think of it like this: if your Impala's engine is mechanical, the PLC, Programmable Logic Controller, is the ECU, the boss that tells everything when to fire, when to shift, and when to chill. Chapter 2, Key Tools and Tech, the Supercharger Setup. Sky B, back right, FX Workbench. Peep the upgrades, y'all. PLCs equals the supercharger of automation. They take inputs, sensors, and spit out commands, motors, valves, lights. HMI, Human Machine Interface, equals your dash display, but way fancier. Operators use it to see temps, pressures, and hit the big red button if things go sideways. SCADA equals the cloud-connected turbo. It's like having a pit crew monitor your ride 24/7 from their phones. Tweedle twins, trunk, CW/CVT and connected workflow, and yo, just like how our Impala's airbag suspension adapts to any road, automation systems self-adjust keeping production smooth even when the road gets bumpy. Chapter 3, The Programming Process, Lowrider Wiring Edition, JJ the Boss, Grip in the Wheel. Let's hop this ride step by step. Keycap 1 physical points equals the battery and alternator. These are your real-world sensors and outputs. Keycap 2 logical points equals the ECU settings. Set points, schedules, and calculated values. Keycap 3 Boolean logic equals the relays and fuses. True/false, on/off, keeping it simple. Keycap 4 analog logic equals the fuel injection. PID loops, valve commands, and smooth modulation. Cue the Cheshire Cat grin from a flickering HMI screen. Chapter 4, Design Patterns, the Pro Tuner's Playbook. Miriama K, tap in the touch screen. AIT, listen, design patterns are like blueprints for your ride. Here's the cheat sheet. Analog enable pattern equals like a thermostat. If temp set point, kick on the AC. PID loop equals cruise control for temps. Keeps things steady without overshooting. Lead/lag equals twin turbo mode. Cycle equipment to avoid wear and tear. The Queen of Hearts screams, off with your spaghetti code. Final lap, how to get started. JJ the Boss, drop in the mic, so how do you jump in? Keycap 1 learn Niagara Workbench, free trials, yo. Keycap 2 play with Easy.io, free software equals no excuses. Keycap 3 get hands-on, internships, side gigs, or automate your grandma's thermostat. Till then, keep ya logic clean like chrome rims, ya code tight like supercharger belts, and ya career smooth like airbags. Peace out. Hydraulics bounce as the Impala rolls off screen. Post-credits scene, the Mad Hatter pops up, sipping tea from a PLC. *Y is a raven like a PID loop. Because they both carry has stack 4 tags. Ha! Dormouse snores inside a wire duct. Mic drop. Alice's Bass Adventures in Logic Land. Once upon a very silly day, Alice wasn't falling down a rabbit hole this time, oh no. She fell right into a bouncin' lowrider Impala with fuzzy dice, chrome pipes, and a giant Bass Logic Inside sticker on the hood. "Where am I?" asked Alice, brushing glittery leaves off her dress. "Welcome to Logic Land, sugar," shouted JJ the Boss, who was wearin' a crown made of BACnet cables and holdin' a thermostat like a scepter. "This here Impala don't just ride low, it runs your whole buildin'." Chapter 1, Follow the White Rabbit, 2 Inputs and Outputs. Alice saw the White Rabbit sprintin' past, yellin', "I'm late for a control loop. Gotta tag those input values before the Queen shuts down the Ahoo." "What's an input?" asked Alice. "Like a drink me potion," explained Leah G, who sat shotgun wearin' a sparkly din rail belt. "It tells your bass how the world feels: hot, cold, full of tea, or full of frogs." Chapter 2, The Cheshire Cat explains logic blocks. Alice wandered into a glowing forest of blinking logic wires. Poof! The Cheshire Cat appeared upside down from a branch. "Some blocks are true, some blocks are false. But all of them bounce like hydraulic logic." Alice blinked. "That doesn't make sense." "Exactly," he grinned, fading into binary code. Chapter 3, The Mad Tea Party, also known as a Lupa sequence. Alice stumbled upon a very illogical tea party. The Mad Hatter, March Hare, and Dormouse were arguing about logic states. "If tea is hot and cup is empty, then pour more," shouted the Hatter. "But what if it's peppermint?" yelled the Hare, waving a relay. The Dormouse snored into a PID loop. "Sequencing, dear girl," whispered Miriama K from behind a stack of thermistors, "is just knowing when to throw the tea." Chapter 4, The Queen of Hearts hates spaghetti code. "Off with their tag names," screeched the Queen of Hearts, who was chasing a knave of hearts with a BACnet device list. Alice hid behind Sky B, who was organizing 24V power supplies with perfect labels. "See, Alice," said Sky, "Bass programming is like croquet, wild, but manageable if you set up the right logic and keep the flamingo, aka your sensors, pointed the right way." The King of Hearts offered Alice a digital thimble. This token certifies you as a junior programmer. Chapter 5, Tweedledee and Tweedledum redundant but necessary. Down in the trunk, Lady Z and Sandra Z, the Tweedle twins, were arguing about fuses and error handling. "We need backup logic," shouted Lady Z. "But too much logic slows the flow," replied Sandra. Alice blinked again. "Why are your temp sensors wearing top hats?" "They're fashion-forward fail-safes," the twins said in unison. Chapter 6, The Mock Turtles crying over broken scripts. Alice found the Mock Turtle weeping into a cup of compile errors. "Oh, I used else instead of else if. It's all so terribly wrong," the Griffin swooped in. "Stop weepin', mate. Use templates next time." Final trial, the Knave of Hearts and the Great Logic Test. The trial of the Knave began. "Did you or did you not forget the end condition in the supply fan logic?" asked the Queen. "He did," yelled the playing cards, pointing with their paper fingers. Alice stood up, holding a printout from the Niagara workbench. "Objection. His logic passed simulation. See the screenshot." The Jabberwock, serving as the judge, roared and stamped past on the code. Last lap, Alice graduates Bass School with her logic clean, her air valve sequenced, and her sensors tagged. Alice climbed back into the compressed air supercharger Impala with JJ and the Chicas. "Y'all ready to ride?" JJ smiled. As the Impala bounced away into a sunrise of blinking logic lights, the Mad Hatter waved from the rooftop yelling, "Why is a raven like a PID loop?" The Dormouse finally woke up just to mutter, "Because it loops the tea back to warm, the end, or is it?" Next up, Alice versus the Valve Queen, a variable airflow showdown. Next topic. Create a new Niagara 4, N4, station. JJ Da Boss presents, build in a new Niagara 4 station, lowrider logic edition. Strap in with the Niagara 4 Chicas inside the candy-painted 64 compressed air supercharged Impala with airbag suspension. Ride in smooth like a PID loop through a VOV zone. JJ Da Boss, driver seat, command center of chaos. Y'all ready to fire up a fresh N4 station? Grab your mouse and tighten them belts. 'Cause we ain't just tappin' buttons, we tunin' this like we tunin' air pressure and logic flow through an air suspension manifold. This Impala don't bounce unless it's programmed right. Step 1, open in the workbench aka ignite in the ride from the driver's seat. JJ reaches up to the dash, go up to that tools menu like you're flippin' the switch on an air compressor. Boom. Select new station. That's like firin' up the ECU before hittin' the strip. Leah G, shotgun, navigation and naming department. Leah's tappin' on a touchscreen GPS mounted above the glove box. "Alright sugar, name that station like you're namin' a new build, Supernova _controls or Queen HVAC _01 something clean. You can even pick a template, like selectin' your ride mode, street, strip, or slammed. Go custom if you got signature flavor." Miriama K, back left seat, password security and admin protection. She's flippin' open a toolbox full of symbols, numbers, and lock icons. "Time to set your admin password, fam. We talk in 10 characters, gotta have one uppercase, one lowercase, and one number like tune and 3 air springs to ride height. Don't be slack. A weak password's like leakin' boost in a supercharger." Step 2, station copy time, like fill in the tanks with air. JJ punches the chrome finish button on the dash. Now when you finish up that setup, you got options. You can, keycap 1 just save it in user home like leaving it in the garage. Keycap 2 or copy it to daemon home with the station copier. That's like airbag in your ride so it's ready to roll soon as you press the switch. Sky B, back right, platform connect Queen. Sky plugs her tablet into the rear console. "We gotta connect to your platform settings, sugar. Windows gonna be like, who dat? 'Cause it don't trust Tritium self-signed cert. Just hit accept, log in with your creds, and check that lil box that says remember me. We don't like typing the same stuff twice." The Tweedle twins, Lady Z and Sandra Z, in the trunk, redundancy and runtime readiness, they're sprawled in the trunk surrounded by air tanks, fuses, and BACnet adapters. Lady Z, start station on boot. That's like auto lift-in when the key turns. Sandra Z, but if it's your laptop, don't start it up all willy-nilly. Leave it off unless you manual crank it in the application director. JJ hollers from the front, yeah, don't want your bag's infl8 in just cause you opened the trunk. Step 3, transfer time, push it to the platform. JJ punches the next button like it's a paddle shifter. Now that sucker's copy into your daemon home. Think of it like fill in the compressor tanks. Fast and tight. Empty station. It's done quicker than a burnout on sticky track. Step 4, open the application director. Let's see if she's running. You'll get a pop-up skin, wanna open application director? Yes. You do. Alice, riding in the rear middle seat between Miriama and Sky, taps her smartwatch. JJ, it still says starting. Be cool, lil lady, JJ grins. It's like the airbags fill in once it says running. We ready to engineer that beast. Station's running? You made it, baby. JJ drops the mic, and the Impala, with the touch of the airbag switch, you just built a fresh Niagara 4 station, configured it, secured it, and got it copied to your local ride. That's how we roll. Now go flex that new logic block and make that HVAC system dance like this Impala. Post-credits scene, White Rabbit is wearing a hard hat and typing on a laptop strapped to a flamingo. I'm late for tagging the network points. The Queen of Hearts chimes in from the back seat, off with his null pointers. Niagara 4 station equals engineered white heavy checkmark. Impala equals slammed white heavy checkmark. Logic equals clean white heavy checkmark. Stay smooth. Stay secure. Keep riding smart. JJ da boss out. Alice's chaotic ride through Niagara Land, building a station in Wonderland. Once upon a scrambled second Tuesday in Wonderland, Alice wasn't falling down a rabbit hole this time. She crashed through a workbench portal wearing goggles and holding a teacup full of JSON. What is this? She blinked, landing face first on a glowing dashboard inside a bouncing candy-painted compressed air supercharged 64 lowrider Impala with an airbagged suspension that said whoosh. With every logic pulse. Step 1, the tools menu. Tunnel, new station. Alice scrambled to the front seat where the White Rabbit was frantically tapping on the dash. No time. No time. Go to the tools menu, click new station. Name it something logical unlike my entire day. Alice typed in fluffy bunny _ station 001 and giggled. Does this template selector make me shrink or grow? The caterpillar sits on the console, puffing credentials. Who are you? Our admin password. He blew smoke in the shape of 10 characters, floating, teapot 123. Alice typed carefully, obeying the rules, 1 big letter white heavy checkmark, 1 little letter white heavy checkmark, 1 number white heavy checkmark. Well done, tiny SYS admin, said the caterpillar. Now, copy me. Mad transfer tea party. Suddenly the Mad Hatter, March Hare, and a screaming Dormouse popped out of the glove box, holding floppy disks and throwing config files like confetti. Time to use the station copier, dear girl. Copy it to the daemon home. It's where logic bounces. Auto start the station or face. T. Alice flung her arms in the air. Okay. I'll copy it. I'll even check the auto start box if the Dormouse stops trying to chew my sleeve. The Queen of Hearts versus the SSL cert. As the platform settings popped up, the Queen of Hearts stomped in with her scepter made of XML. Who approved this certificate? Off with its head. It's self-signed, Your Majesty, explained the Knave of Hearts, trying to install Trust Store dependencies on a flamingo-shaped tablet. Alice clicked accept anyway. The Queen growled. Fine. But I want it secure, secure, secure. The Cheshire Cat shows up in the progress bar just as Alice hit next, A grinning Cheshire cat appeared pixel by pixel in the station transfer window. Oh, you're copying now, are you? It's going from your user hole. I mean home, to the daemon's domain. Delightfully dangerous. Will it be fast? Asked Alice. As fast as madness on toast, he purred. The final step, Application Director Wonderland, now the playing cards, in high-vis vests, waved her into the Application Director room, where the King of Hearts pointed at a screen. What does it say? Alice squinted. It says. Starting. Alice stomped her foot. When will it say running? Out from under the dashboard popped the Mock Turtle and the Griffin, both wired into a logic loop. Patience, dear. It's fillin' with compressed air logic and Java beans. The big boom, it says running. Boom. Whoosh. The Impala slammed low. The bags hissed. The screen flashed, status, running. Alice did a backflip onto the passenger seat. I did it. I built a Wonderland station. Now, what does it do? Bonus chaos scene, Jabberwocky debug mode. Suddenly the Jabberwock burst through the trunk wearing sunglasses and holding a broken BACnet stack. Someone connected two networks with duplicate device IDs again. Off with his packets, shrieked the Queen. Final tally, Wonderland station equals running white heavy checkmark, Impala equals bouncin' white heavy checkmark, Alice equals confused but happy white heavy checkmark, Mad Tea Party equals logically engineered white heavy checkmark, White Rabbit equals still late crossmark. And with that, Alice sipped from her running successfully teacup and whispered, Niagara 4 is madness, but it's my kind of madness. The end, or just the beginning of another Wonderland debug log.